When we think of workplace hazards, our minds usually jump to the obvious. We picture heavy machinery, open flames, or precarious heights, assuming risk is something we can always see. For decades, danger at work was visible. During the Industrial Revolution, threats were physical, with workers operating alongside massive exposed gears on factory assembly lines. In modern construction, tangible safety gear remains the primary line of defense. High-visibility vests and hard hats protect workers from falling objects and moving vehicles. But the modern economy has introduced a different kind of hazard. In a seemingly sterile office space, the most pervasive threats to a worker's health are invisible, manifesting as systemic pressures. Because the nature of how we labor has evolved, our definition of danger must expand. We now have to account for psychological pressures, organizational breakdowns, and microscopic pathogens. In 1996, the Global Trade Union Movement designated April 28th as the International Commemoration Day for Dead and Injured Workers, a day dedicated to mourning those lost to labor. In 2003, the focus shifted to engineering preventive solutions that would stop injuries from occurring. This shift was led by the International Labor Organization, or ILO, launching the World Day for Safety and Health at Work to raise global awareness. The ILO utilized its historical strengths in social dialogue to transform this day into an advocacy tool. By linking workplace safety to a global strategy, they created a mechanism to pressure governments and raise the political profile of occupational health on the world stage. As industries adopt technical innovations faster than regulations can keep up, new hazards emerge where rapid progress outpaces safety rules. This monitor displays a double-stranded DNA sequence, representing the microscopic level where many biotech hazards exist. In these fields, workers handle genetic codes and materials whose long-term effects on the body are still being mapped. In this lab environment, a scientist uses a pipette to handle liquids. Precise handling and advanced data are required for these chemical processes, as the dangers cannot be mitigated with traditional protective gear. Better scientific understanding is also reframing older issues. For example, ergonomic data now identifies poor workplace design as the specific root cause of debilitating musculoskeletal disorders. Technological advancement is a double-edged sword. It creates new economies while simultaneously inventing new ways to damage the human body. Beyond technology, structural changes in how employment is distributed have created a second category of emerging risk. The model of stable employment is increasingly being replaced by fragmented systems like outsourcing, temporary contracts, and gig work. This structural fragmentation often leads to higher individual workloads. When corporations downsize, the remaining workforce faces immediate work intensification to maintain production levels. The physiological result of these organizational pressures is documented. Psychosocial factors like job insecurity and isolation manifest directly as chronic work-related stress. Precarious employment contracts, the pressures of migrating for work, and unstable organizational structures represent hazards as significant as any physical machinery. To combat these complex risks, the ILO relies on a shared responsibility framework known as Tripartism. The first pillar is government, providing legal infrastructure and inspection systems to enforce compliance. The second is the employer, obligated to ensure safe and healthy working environments. The final pillar is the worker, whose duty is to work safely and participate in preventative measures. This is a survival pact. If any one of these three stakeholders fails their mandate, the entire safety infrastructure collapses. Preventing occupational accidents requires moving beyond simple legal compliance. It demands the cultivation of a global culture centered on safety and health. As innovation changes how and where we labor, our vigilance must scale accordingly. Human lives cannot be treated as collateral damage in the pursuit of technical or social change. Stopping deaths and injuries on the job is a continuous, evolving battle. It remains the personal responsibility of every single individual in the workforce.